Hi guys, we're the Harbins. Welcome to Harbin Hollow. I am Michelle Harbin. I'm the owner of Harbin Hollow. We are at our small apiary in Sumner County, located in Portland, Tennessee, right on the Tennessee-Kentucky state line.
So talk to us about how long you have been beekeeping.
So this is our third season.
Okay.
So we're new.
Okay.
They're very new. That's very new for beekeeping.
Yeah, so what got you into beekeeping?
So in 2019, I started Harbin Hollow, and it started with an elderberry syrup. So I found a co-packer, started selling elderberry syrup. For elderberry syrup, I was sourcing local honey. Okay. And because I was sourcing so much local honey, I started to garnish relationships with local beekeepers, starting with Sumner County and working my way out when I couldn't source enough local. So I kind of started as local as I could and then out. And as I started, one beekeeper in particular, his name was Gigi, and he's a Romanian beekeeper. And I just started watching him, and he would teach me things. And so the following year, that was 2019. The following year, we decided to get bees because we're sourcing so much local honey. We're purchasing it anyways. So we thought, you know what? Why not? We have the space for them. So we started beekeeping.
Okay, good deal. Okay, so Harbin Hollow originally was a elderberry.
It was a wholesale. It started as a wholesale line of elderberry products.
Okay, that is mixed with honey.
Yep, and so our original elderberry syrup, the sweetener in it is honey. And then I came up with a jelly, which is elderberries and strawberries because we're Portland, and we're the Middle Tennessee strawberry capital. So I blended the two flavors, and then we don't use pectin, we use chia seeds as a thickener, and then the sweetener's local honey.
Okay,
so that's another honey product that we have. And then in 2020, I took over the management of the Portland Farmers Market. I agreed to do that in February, right before the world ended. And our honey vendor, who had been at the market 3 years prior, had stopped, and so we started bottling honey.
Gotcha.
And so it was basically a demand.
Yeah.
So we filled a void.
I love it. Okay, so how many hives do you have?
So currently we have 4. You see there's multiple boxes back here. Bee math is funny. And going into the winter, we had 10. When we started in the spring, we were down to 1.
Yeah.
A lot of things cause hive collapse. It could be pest. It could be the bees were cold. I think that's what happened to a lot of ours, is the numbers just weren't high enough in there for them to keep warm.
Yeah.
They had food, so they were okay there. But we're back up to 4 hives.
Good. So where do you get your bees from?
Where did we get our first bees, babe? Gigi. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
We got our first hives from Gigi, and then since then we've split and caught swarms.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you do catch swarms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, Gigi, we got those bees from. That would have been in 2020, and then we've just been splitting. We get equipment from Pete Zook in Kentucky. Lots of people use him as a supplier. And Ronnie, he's really handy, so he builds some things too.
Cool.
And then in September of 2020, we opened our retail store.
Okay.
And so we are an independent grocery store.
Okay.
And we sold some beekeeping equipment, and Ronnie has helped several other starter just hobby beekeepers.
So beekeepers,
started.
if someone wants to get into beekeeping, would they come to you?
They can absolutely come to us, and we can either we can point them in the direction of where to get supplies, or we can source those for them.
Okay.
Ronnie, he has gone out and set up hives for people, and then goes up and does hive checks.
So that's good to know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We were selling suits, hive tools, hive boxes,
and
all of
Harbin
it.
Hollow, the little store is where?
It's here in Portland, on the north end of Highway 109 at 809 North Broadway.
Okay, and they can it's a grocery store?
It is. We're an independent grocery store, so most everything in our store is sourced from Tennessee or Kentucky.
Okay.
And we don't keep, we used to have a hive, set up in there, and a beekeeping suit, and we don't keep inventory on hand, so we can just help people source.
Okay. So let's talk about swarms and your experience with swarms and how you manage your swarms.
Yeah, so as I said, we started with one hive this spring, and we were able, that was a very strong hive, so we were able to split that. That one became 2. Then we got a call, or actually, you know how everyone on these hip sites, if they have a swarm, they start tagging beekeepers. Well, now I'm well known in the Sumner County area, so we get calls now about swarms. So we went to someone's house, caught one swarm. Then we went to another lady's house, caught a swarm, and thought it was good to go. Ronnie went to the truck to get a entrance excluder, and by the time we got back, they swarmed again.
Gosh.
So we lost that one, and that's just part of it.
Chasing swarms.
Hey, the bees do what they want, right?
Yeah,
Like we can't make them do anything they don't want to do. And then we had another one that swarmed here, and it was funny because Ronnie had taken some of our hives to the garage, and he was just going through them and seeing what he could feed back to the bees, the frames and all of that, and they swarmed to our garage.
Oh,
so he caught that one, and that became a hive. So that's how we got back to 4.
Do you sell bees too?
We do not sell bees.
Okay, so you
Not
just,
yet.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he started playing around with raising queens and all of that, but we're still new.
Okay, but people could come to you for beekeeping education, beekeeping support, mentoring of beekeeping.
Absolutely, and I can connect them with our local North Tennessee Beekeepers Club, obviously
Yeah.
the Tennessee Beekeepers Association.
Yeah. So is that something, when someone first wants to get into beekeeping, is that, what do you tell them to do? What's your suggestion?
Well, I think they should always get 2 hives, first of all.
Okay.
I think it's hard for a standalone hive. And then I try to explain not to get emotionally attached because it's really hard. I know the first time my husband was marking a queen and he dropped it, and the puppy I was telling you about, she was very small. She was out here and she startled him. And he dropped the queen, and Lila was devastated because we killed the queen bee.
Oh,
so
gosh.
we have to, the circle of life, and and then also with beekeeping, it's a lot of education. So I just tell people, I have like a Davis Kid beekeeping book that I refer people to. Our library in Portland, I serve on the Friends of the Library board, and they have a great beekeeping selection of books. So I just, soak it all in.
So speaking of, so this is a family affair for you guys,
Yes.
right? So how do you and your family get involved with the bees?
So my kids love to get in the bees, especially 5-year-old Cooper. Y'all will see. He's so cute, and he loves to get in there. But they're intrigued by the honey. This morning at breakfast, we were talking again about the importance of honeybee, and we looked at our plate, and 1 in 3 bites of food that we eat it requires honeybee pollination. And so we had a scone from a local bakery that we sell at the store that was full of strawberries, and we had some fresh cherries, and I was like, everything on your plate required a honeybee because that has strawberries, has cherries, the milk you drink, the grain that the cows eat, all of that requires honeybee pollination. So it's just a good way to let them reiterate, like creation care and taking care of our planet. Quick pro tip for female beekeepers. This bun is the best way to wear your hat.
Because your hat doesn't fall down on your face.
Right. Perfect. And your hair's out of your face.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than having this on in the hives, and you get a hair like stuck to your lipstick or in your teeth.
So talk to us about your elderberry syrup, because that's where it all started, right?
Yeah, so late in 2018, right before Christmas, I was trying to be a nutrition coach, and I could never monetize it. So I'm still a certified nutrition coach.
Okay.
I keep my certification. It just adds value. This is our original elderberry. But I shared my recipe, and it turns out no one wants to make it. So there was a demand. I found a co-packer, started selling it, and it's both elderberry syrups have Elderberry, organic elderberries, ginger, cinnamon, clove, and lemons. Our original is sweetened with local honey, and our no sugar added is sweetened with monk fruit sweetener, which is really good. And then we have a really cool jelly. It's elderberries, strawberries, because we're in Portland and we're famous for our strawberries, and honey and chia seeds. And the chia seeds are actually sourced from Franklin, Kentucky, which is about 15 minutes from here, and it's the only North American grown chia seed. So local chia, local honey, which is awesome. But yeah, that's how we got started selling elderberry syrup, and then because we were sourcing so much honey, we had relationships with local beekeepers, and so we got our food manufacturing permit and started bottling honey from other apiaries. That's a retail food establishment on that side. And then this is a food manufacturing facility. So we have our food manufacturing permit. We are the highest risk for our stores, so it gives us a deli permit so that we can, anything we want to make within these 4 walls, we can sell on property. Oh, good. Anything that I manufacture that is going to be sold wholesale to other retailers, like the honey and the pollen that we bottle here, we have to submit our process to the Department of Agriculture. And we have to keep traceability reports. Okay. Kathy, will you go grab a jar of honey and show them your traceability code? So every jar of honey has a code on it. Okay. Because we bottle from multiple apiaries. Okay. And so if a customer calls me with that code, we can tell them what apiary that
which apiaries do you bottle from?
So I've bottled from Johnson, Apiary Pro, Happy Bee Apiary, and now A&V is who I get most of mine, and that's Abram Dudar out of Hendersonville.
So are they? Which ones are local?
All of those are local. So Abram, he does pollination services, and he takes his hives in multiple states. Okay. But he keeps the honey separate that he harvests from them. Okay, gotcha. So like I just got a bucket of honey from them from the orange groves, and so we have Orange Grove honey bottle. Okay. And I just put a little sticker on it out there that has an orange and says Florida Orange Grove honey. Oh, gotcha. But
so you do label it like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But this code here is our internal traceability code. So we keep reports, and every jar of honey can be traced back to what apiary we get it from. And that's a requirement. That's a state requirement. Same for the bee pollen. Our bee pollen...
state requirement because of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But not for...
Well, and there's some things that you have to do because we are... So, like, these are food-grade ceiling tiles. If something were to splatter and go up to the ceiling, this can just be wiped clean. It's not porous, so that it then molds and then leaks down into food you're bottling.
Right.
So,
but from a bottling honey standpoint, someone that's just selling honey on the side of the road doesn't have to have...
No, I mean, and I can't remember, it's like 2,000 pounds. It's something crazy. Yeah. Like, as long as you're only bottling your own honey. Right. You can sell up to a certain amount, and you can sell that to stores even. It doesn't matter. Honey is unique like that. Like baked goods, if you're baking those in your home, you can sell those direct to consumer from your home or at a farmer's market, that sort of thing, but you can't sell it to me. Right. But honey, you can, because it's virtually low risk. Honey doesn't go bad. It barely, the manufacturing, more of the risk of honey and why it needs to be is number one, where the honey came from and the traceability reports. And number two, just making sure that nothing else is getting in the jar when you're bottling it. But basically, this is a steam kettle, and what we do is we put a little bit of water in here, and we throw the bucket of honey, and we turn this on low and overnight, and so that it barely heats the honey. You don't want honey to get above 95 degrees. That's the max temp that the bees keep the hive, and anything above that starts to destroy the enzymes and the natural properties, and it's no longer raw. So we let it sit over here just to get it a little bit warm. And then we have a 3-step, basically this is step 1. It comes from that bucket through the first filter. Actually, we go through this one first. It's not as fine as this one. So it goes through one, and then it gets into this tank. Okay, so, and then we kind of put this one, basically all we do is we take this cart And I say we, I mean Kathy. Because every time I try to bottle honey, it's disastrous. So basically we just take this kettle, sit it here, and then filter it one more time from this bucket through that bucket, and then put it back here. And then this is a bee blanket. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
So that, basically you plug it in and it gets warm and it does not allow the honey to get over 95 degrees.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's a special bee blanket that basically...
Is that normally on a hive?
No, it just goes on your bottling tank to keep it warm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and then we can leave the honey in there. And so we can bottle as much as we can get through the day, or,
gotcha.
you know, we can keep it if we have extra.
How big is this? 5 gallons?
That one is actually, no, it's
I think it's
12.
10 to 12.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I think we can fit 2 buckets of honey in there.
Okay.
Which, you know, local honey, I mean, it's not like we have this unlimited supply. So
right.
we're usually bottling, I usually buy 2 buckets at a time.
Okay. Gotcha. So here you got over here, it looks like this. Where do you get your bee pollen?
So actually, I used to have Gigi, my favorite beekeeper.
Okay.
They used to collect pollen, and they got out of it. And because he had so much, he could not. Well, you get a pollen pod sheet. He could not sell it, and so he was like, "Come on!" And reluctantly, I was like, "Okay." So I started selling his bee pollen. Then I created this demand. Like I started educating people on the benefits, and then he stopped collecting pollen.
Okay.
And I have not found another Tennessee or Kentucky source of bulk wholesale pollen.
Okay.
So this actually comes from an apiary in the Midwest.
Okay.
And so these are our pollen pods.
Okay.
And this is how Gigi was packaging them.
Okay.
This is FDA grade pharmaceutical packaging.
Okay.
And so each little pod contains 1 teaspoon of bee pollen. And it is, it's labeled with our name and our address, but you tear it up and, you know, that's 25 single servings of pollen.
Nice. Now this bee pollen, though, since it's from the Midwest, is it what people are looking for, that local
It's
bee
not
pollen?
local. Nope.
Okay.
It's not local, but
So we need someone to start producing.
we
local
do,
bee pollen.
and I've been like every TBA event go to, I'm like, okay, who's collecting pollen? Who wants to sell me pollen? It's a lot of work.
Now, was the previous guy that quit selling bee pollen, is this his bee pollen? Or
No.
You've sourced that
Yep,
somewhere
I've
else?
sourced
Okay,
it
gotcha.
somewhere else. And I bought his dehydrator and his chest freezer because those are 2 things if you're going to collect pollen that you need. Pollen, right when you harvest it, has to be refrigerated or frozen because it will mold.
Right.
It's a lot, you know, it's food.
Yeah.
And basically it's just nectar and pollen, but it will, because it's moist, it'll mold. So you have to dehydrate it at very low temps to make it shelf stable.
Okay, gotcha.
The colors represent the different flowers that the bees foraged on. So isn't that cool? It's so pretty.
Okay.
It really is. So this is basically pollen and nectar.
Doesn't smell like anything.
It doesn't taste bad. You can mix this in your smoothie, mix it in granola, put it in your cereal, sprinkle it on a salad, put it on a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
Oh.
Like there's so many ways to sneak it in.
Yeah, taste that now.
It's earthy.
Yeah, it is earthy.
But like Cooper, my 5-year-old, he loves it. He will open one of those pods and
Oh,
just
really?
shoot it. Yeah, he loves it.
Wow.
But bee pollen is anti-inflammatory, full of B vitamins. It contains all 22 essential amino acids. It provides natural energy. A lot of endurance runners and long-running athletes use bee pollen for energy. And then it lowers the histamine levels in the body, so it can help with allergies, even if it's not local.
Okay.
Obviously, if it's local, then that's going to be better because you have the pollen from your growing region. That's the goal.
Yeah.
But if you can't get local, the next growing region over is just fine.
Yeah.
You know, we have a big demand for it.
Yeah.
We can't keep it. So
Okay. Tell us everything that you're going to have at the Tennessee Honey Festival.
So we will be bringing both of our elderberry syrup recipes, our elderberry and strawberry superfood preserves, which is sweetened with honey. We will bring bee pollen, and I may create something cool since we do have our kitchen. So we'll try to figure out what else, maybe some kind of vinaigrette. Like we have a strawberry vinaigrette that we make with honey. And that our current strawberry vinaigrette was made with local strawberries, but strawberry season's over.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have all that yummy stuff at the festival.
That's right. Bye guys, I'm Michelle from Harbin Hollow and we'll see you at the Tennessee Honey Festival.